if you want to if you want to join me in my adventure doing this project, you're welcome, and I will gladly have you with me in this journey.
Luis Huerta is one of the original 5 Lorcana artists. We're really excited to get to talk to him today. For those of you who don't know, he did the art for the Maleficent card. And as we get into this, you're going to see why that was the perfect card for him to draw. We're really excited that he's part of Lorcana, and we are really excited to talk to you today, Luis. Very excited.
Yeah,
nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you as well. So in the near future, there are going to be thousands of kids and adults opening packs of Lorcana and experiencing your art for the very first time. In your own words, how would you want to introduce yourself to new fans of your work?
Well, the things that I will say basically to them is that, hi, my name is Luis. I'm a character designer. I'm an illustrator, and I love to draw fantasy art in general. And the 3 words that I will describe my work will basically be like whimsical, colorful, and like very heartwarming. I always try to give that look to my characters, that they're like, even though there's some malicious and evil, but the world around them, it's like very whimsical, and there's like so much adventure inside those characters. So that's probably the way that I would describe my characters or my art in general. And well, you know, when you're talking about Disney, it's always, you're talking about so much magic in those worlds that surround the company. But yeah, that's probably the way.
I have to say, and we're going to talk a little bit more later about Nick Kole, one of the other artists on the project. But, you know, when we talk to him, one of the big words that I use to describe his work is joy. And I would definitely, with your work, I would use warmth. There is just such a warmth to the characters that you create.
You're kind of, the way you describe your characters, the warmth, the happiness, you're a great fit for Disney. Because you do with your work a lot of the stuff that Disney does with Robin Hood. You are often feature anthropomorphized animals, but in particular dragons. And we'll talk about your personal project, but I know dragons are a huge passion of yours. What is it about dragons that inspires you, and why do they feature so prominently in your work?
I think what really inspires me about dragons, it's that the concept of dragons, like, very universal. Like, if you see like many cultures in the world, there's like dragons in the folklore, the culture, but the most interesting thing about this is that they don't have like a particular way to portray them. Like, in every single part of the world, the dragons are portrayed like differently, and they have this diversity in design, depending on the culture, depending on, you know, the context of the country. And there's like so many aspects that why the dragons are so interesting, because they're like these mythical creatures, but we usually portray them like as like big lizards with breath of fire, and they have wings. But there's like so many other ways to portray them, and I think it's that diversity that when it comes to portray them, to depict them in different ways, that it's so fascinating for me. And you can go wild when it comes to these creatures, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm really interested in dragons. Also because when I was a kid, I when I see like a dragon, it was like a giant lizard like that breathes fire. Oh my god, that's so freaking cool.
But your dragons aren't scary. They're for the most part, they're approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking of, it's also because in some cultures, the dragons are depicted like as evil creatures, but also in other cultures, they're like hoarders of knowledge. They're like very they have like they're like a lot of wisdom, and they know they're like wisdom creatures, and they guard knowledge. And there's like so many well, in the other hand, like even you see the dragons as very like very dangerous and very very dangerous creatures. You can see there's the other side of the coin, that there's like some very gentle dragons that they're like very connected to the earth, like to nature, and those are the kind of dragons that I really love, and I feel like those are the ones that really want to share the knowledge.
Well, I feel like this leads perfectly into my next question. So we love discussing artists' personal projects with them, because seeing the world and the characters and the themes that you like to explore, I think tells us so much about you. So your big personal project is The Dragon's Apprentice. This is a world you've been fleshing out for many years. Can you tell us about the project and maybe how it came about?
I think the first glimpse that I have from the project was really back in college. I was a very big fan of RPG games. I play like a lot of PS2, PS3 game, and there's one game that it's from Square, and it's called Reality Stories. So this game is actually about the journey of a young squire. His name is Jack, and he actually goes to the castle so he can become a knight. And he during his trip or his travels, he needs to make like different choices, and those choices are going to guide him throughout the game. So there's some really big decisions that he has to make, and that will the game will go that way if he makes that choice. So I really love the way that they made that kind of decisions with the character. Something that really was like, hey, why are the magical creatures like the antagonist of this game? If you know, there's like some certain depiction of how the humankind kind of makes like decisions for the greater, and there's like so many controversial decisions. So I was thinking, what will happen if the dragons were like the good guys, and the knights were like the antagonists of the story? So that's when I started to write a story about, basically about how would the dragons see the humans, and how would the interactions, the tension interactions between them will be like, will result in that kind of world. So I started to develop a character which was Evan, which is like the dragon's apprentice, and he makes certain decisions that basically guides him to the dragon, which is the one that just takes him as his apprentice and starts to see the world in the dragon's eyes, like from the dragon's perspective. And the project is mostly about how this kid starts to learn. So the story is that he's like a son of a knight, and he's always inside of the castle, so he hasn't seen the world at all. So I think the story is about how he's starting to see the world from the dragon's dragon's eyes, and like all the stories that he has been told about the dragons are like false, and they're like not true. It's all about the decisions we make, and maybe he's gonna take wrong decisions, but they're gonna be decisions that he has to affront, and he has to take and accept the consequences of it. Because in life, we usually make wrong decisions, but we have to affront them and be sure of what we're doing in this instance. So that's in general this story, but it's mostly about how this kid starts to see the dragon realm, which is mostly the place where the story is going to be. So that's in general the story, but I'm really excited because in the recent years, I have been developing more into my writing skills because I'm not a writer in general, but I am very fortunate that I got to share. I know some people that are really helping me out to write this story and to share this project that I'm working on.
We're super excited to see it.
That's fantastic. I don't think I realized that you were like working towards that. I'm so excited to see the final product. I love the work that, and as you're talking about it, we'll kind of put on screen so people can see like the images of the project thus far. But it's really spectacular work, and I'm really excited to see the final product.
Well, what I love about it too is the Dragon's Apprentice, as you describe it, is really about empathy. It's about kindness and empathy, and learning to see the world from somebody else's point of view, breaking down barriers and vanquishing fear of the unknown. And these are just themes that I see all throughout your work. And anyway, I love the project.
Oh, thank you.
So one thing you said, how video games kind of inspired, they were the starting point for the Dragon's Apprentice, the Square Enix game. And we know from your social feeds that you're a big gamer. Not only, Nintendo games, Square Enix games, Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
But we know you like to describe to your fans the games you're playing, and we also know that they inspire your work quite a bit. So if I were to ask you your favorite video games, and maybe the ones that have inspired your work the most, what would they be?
Oh, wow. Well, I already mentioned this game, Reality Stories. So I think this game, it was released around 2005, I think. It was during the PS2 era. If you haven't checked it out, it has a very beautiful art direction. It has like a very storybook feel to it. And I think that was like a kind of like a golden era of a Square Enix game, because they were really experimenting with their art direction, and I think it was also like a kind of an era because it really the game really reminded me a lot to the Final Fantasy IX, which is like a very artistic the last very like artistic Final Fantasy in the franchise. And that was probably in the sense of art direction that the one that really inspired me. The other one, most recently, probably is Spyro Reignited trilogy. I think that's probably the most fresh game like that it's in my mind, that I really love the style of that game because it was so whimsical. The colors just pop out of the screen. I would really just love to turn on the game and just keep it on the artisan world. It's something that I still do because the whole package, the music, the colors, everything, it's just fantastic. Also, I'm trying to remember because there's like so many, but in general, Square Enix games always have like this fantastic sense of whimsy, and it makes you want to explore those worlds, and I think that's the most important for me. I think the fact that you make the world like, hey, I want to go there, like make you go to those places. It's like a very important part of your game, because if you don't have that sense of adventure to your game. I feel that all that feeling just goes away. And also I think I would say the Legend of Zelda games are just fantastic games that especially I would say Wind Waker. Wind Waker has like this sense of adventure because you can go out on the sea and just explore the islands around you. And I think that's probably besides Breath of the Wild, which is another fantastic Zelda game that portrays this sense of adventure to go to unknown places. I think those are probably like my big inspirations when it comes to creating fantastic worlds and fantasy worlds that you really want to explore, because I will love to explore those worlds. Like if I will live in those worlds, I would probably just go into adventure and try to see what do I find. But yeah.
Well, on the note of adventure, I know you're also a big D&D player. Can you tell us about your D&D character and a little bit about the campaign that y'all are on?
Oh, well, I actually we actually finished the campaign a couple of months ago, and so I started D&D pretty much when pandemic started, and a couple of friends invited me to their campaign. It was actually already started, but they were like, "Hey, would you like to start a campaign with us?" And it's like, I haven't. It was like my first experience with D&D, so I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, don't worry, you will be fine. and the DM just told me, hey, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And so my first character that I did for that for my campaign was a bear, a druid bear called Bernard. So his backstory is actually a little bit tragic, because he was actually like a leader of his town, and a sorcerer attacked his town and basically just obliterate all his people, and the sorcerer curses him to turn him into a bear, half man. And now he actually loses his memories, and he's trying to recover all his memories, and basically just trying to remember who he is and what is he looking for. At the end, it was fantastic. It was super fun, and after that, I just wanted to do everything again and do other characters, and I find it incredibly fun and also a good exercise just to create these characters from nowhere and give them like these backstories and make like, the whole giving the class and their skills and everything. I find it like incredibly useful for as a character design exercise, because you pretty much have to make a character from zero and create context for this character, and it's so much fun. If I will say, if I could recommend people to play D&D just because of that, I will be like, yeah, it's very fun to create your character from zero, because you're pretty much the god of your own universe, and just start molding this character from nowhere.
Have you ever thought about creating or running a D&D campaign in the Dragon's Apprentice world?
Oh yeah. That's probably one of my it's probably on my bucket list, because once I have like everything defined, because there's like a mini war inside of the Dragon Realm, and there's like a lot of like different guilds, and like there's like different guilds, different dragon elements. there's like so much that I need still to
perfect.
do. Yeah, it's perfect. I feel like it will be fantastic.
Count us in when you get the rule set and everything done.
Yeah,
wanting to
we
try.
would be so game.
Oh.
No pun intended, probably.
Yeah.
So kind of on a similar note, like we know that you really enjoy interacting with other artists and participating in different character exchanges with freelancers. And your social media account really just feels like there's this great sense of community for artists and for your fans to mutually support one another. Is that something that you set out to do when creating your social presence?
Not really. I think everything started just to develop by itself, because I think when you just share something you really like or something you're very passionate about, people are just are going to start to show up and tell you like, hey, I love this idea, I love this concept that you're developing. And I think I have already the help, because I was already part of a community. In case you don't know, I have been part of the furry community like for a while, and they have been like so heartwarming. I have gone to their conventions and I have met like so many amazing people, artists as well, and so many people that are working like in the industry, like in animation, in illustration, and it has been great. And I think that community has also helped me out to develop my own community of the Dragon's Apprentice, because it's mostly all the people that really loves that kind of fantasy worlds, and the fantasy settings and dragons, that people are just fascinated about dragons as well. So it has been developing all by itself, and it has been easier for me now that I really want to do one, because since I started to so I recently started to do like more Twitch streams. And when you see like a Twitch streamer, it's all about the community that surrounds the streamer. And sometimes that community really helps you out to spreading the word about your passion, about what you like. And I think now that I am getting into streaming and I am doing this this Twitch community on Discord, it's really growing faster than I thought. And I'm just amazed of how the people is so welcoming and so heartwarming about the whole, about the, hey, I really would love to know more about your project, and to see like how it evolves from this to start to finish. And it has been very helpful. Like I have been very lucky to be surrounded like amazing people in the community that has actually helped me out to keep going on developing this idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of connecting with fans, so I mean, I love your social feed, and for everybody who isn't subscribed yet, who's watching, you should go subscribe to Twitch and Twitter, etc., because your feeds are wonderful and full of warmth and kindness, and I love it. But speaking of connecting with fans, we know you've been to a few conventions, and most recently you went to LightBox 2022. And I know from your feeds, it seemed like you had a wonderful time there connecting with fans. What was it like meeting, your fans in person and connecting with other artists that were at the show?
Yeah, first of all, shout outs to LightBox, because I have there has been like two LightBox like in person, that because 2020 and 2021 were like they weren't like any in-person conventions. But the the first one back in 2019, I was an attendee. I was fantastic because there was like so many things to do. I tried to go to many panels and talks, and there was like so many stuff to do. And you could also spend like an entire day just going around the exhibitor room with all the artists, because the artists were also like very welcoming when it came to, you know, portfolio reviews or maybe advice about something very specific. And it was great. I think it's probably the best convention when it comes to that kind of when it comes to the creative industry in general. And now that I had the opportunity to be now an exhibitor, it's a completely different experience, because now you are sharing all your knowledge and experience to other people that are seeking for that kind of help when it comes to creative knowledge. There was like so many people that I met for the first time, including my art directors of Lorcana. Like it was finally fantastic to meet them in person, because I just want to thank them, because this project has taken like such an amazing direction, and I'm very excited for next year that it's gonna be releasing. But also people just coming to my table and saying like, I love your art so much. It really got me very emotional, because I am very happy that my art it's having an impact on other artists, and they're making like inspire them to make their own projects as well, because that's the point of try to guide them to see like where exactly do they want to go with their art. And it was just a fantastic experience. And the fortunate part as well is that I got to share a table with Alex Henderson, which is he's a animator and art director. I was very happy that I got to share that experience with him, because I feel the experience, it was even better when you're sharing the table with someone and just trying to see the other people, just encourage them to keep going. And it's probably an experience I will never forget. I'm very excited. If I could do it again, I would probably do it again.
Next year. You know, one of the things that I loved about at the convention, if I remember right, you made these beautiful business cards. And if for anybody who hasn't seen them, each one, there were a multitude with different characters, different of your dragon characters on them. And honestly, if I had been there, I would have wanted to collect the entire set. And what it, you know, they're almost like trading cards. And what it said to me, like when you see it, you know, number one, the pride that you have in your work, because you're going to give away something of quality. But then you're almost giving away collectibles, you know, to fans and other artists in the industry because they were just so well done. I love them. Yeah, and I honestly, I wish I would have gone to Lightbox just for those. But anyway, speaking of connecting with other artists, I want to make another, you know, Lorcana connection here, because we were very fortunate a few weeks ago to get to speak with Nicholas Kole, one of the other Lorcana artists. We know you're a fan because of some of your social feeds, and he's even complimented your dragons before, which we love. Did you get to run into him at Lightbox at all? Or
no, he wasn't at Lightbox. Unfortunately, we were like very, very sad he wasn't there. But the good part is that I got to meet him precisely at Lightbox, but back in 2019. I got to meet him with his wife Erica as well. So it was there was like it was like an honor to meet him in person, and there's like so heartwarming. I don't know. It was just a pleasure to meet him in person. His art almost feels like being in a very cozy and warm room with some hot cocoa and in a rainy night. I feel like it's just so heartwarming in that sense. And every time I see his characters, there's like so comfy. They have those comfy vibes to them. And I got to thank him for all that inspiration, and has helped me out to develop my own style as well.
Did you know at the time that he was working on Spyro, or was that announced afterwards?
So after it was announced, we were starting to interact because I was doing fan art of Spyro.
Mhm.
And that's how we started to chat a little bit. We started to just interact online. And right after Spyro was released, LightBox came. It was like, hey, are you going to LightBox? Like, yeah, sure. Let's hang out. And it was like, and that was the start.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned, because one of the things that we're trying to do, on this channel is help fans to meet and learn about the artists behind, art that they love, because we think it really helps you connect with art on a deeper level. So that's really what we're about. And for you talked about, how much you love Spyro, the game, and you could just experience it all day. Does knowing that Nick is behind a lot of that work help you connect with the game on another level? Or
Well, part of it, I say yes, but then after I started to see the whole team, the art team that I was working behind it, I started to see why the project was looking so good. So I was fortunate to also meet John Lauren, and in not in person but in chat, and Devon Caddy Lee as well. So I got to meet him in person actually because he came to Mexico to give a workshop, and I had to go to that workshop because his work was also, it's fantastic as well. And when I met them in person, I started to realize like these are fantastic people. Like, you met them in person and there's like, they have like that heartwarming feel to them. Like, they're like very gentle, very polite, and there's just fantastic people. And you start to see like why the Spyro Reignited was incredible, because they're not only great artists, but they're also like fantastic people. And I feel they got to transmit that feeling into the game, into the characters. And I feel that's the overall feel that I feel like that's the reason why the game looks so good.
Speaking of transmitting through art, do you mind if we talk about your dad for a moment? So many of your fans know that you lost your father during the pandemic to COVID. And one of the ways that we see you honoring him is by sharing some of his lessons through your artwork. I'm going to have to read this so I don't get it wrong. But one of the quotes from your father that has really stuck with Liam and I is, "Love stays forever. It will always be there for you. Just look up for it. It is an infinite chain that can transcend time." And to us, it's pretty clear that your art is a part of your father's legacy. Again, there's a warmth and a friendliness and a compassion within your characters. How is your father reflected in your artwork?
I think the best way that I can start about this, it's about how my dad actually something about him, because my father wasn't like didn't show like too much affection when it, like, hugs, but he mostly did it like with actions. And I think one of the best features I remember about my father is that every time there was like a reunion, even if it was like a stranger, it's going to be like one person for the first time, just to make it like acquaintance and something like that. He always brought something to that reunion, like even something small, like a bottle of wine, or something for dinner, or something to share. But he always thought in bringing something to that, to share with the entire people. And I think that sense of sharing tells you so much about how my father was with everyone. He was incredibly humble. It's just really that sense of feeling you welcome, feeling you like, okay, this is my art, I want to share it with you, and have that heartwarming feeling that I was describing in the beginning. Just being able to share that sensation of, you're welcome in my world, you're welcome with my art, and just try to feel comfortable that if you want to join me in my adventure doing this project, you're welcome, and I will gladly have you with me in this journey. That's probably the way that I will describe it more. My father always make you feel welcome no matter what, no matter if you were a random stranger, or if you were like someone you just met like 10 minutes ago. It made you feel welcome every time you met him. I think that's one of the things that I really want to portray in my art.
I love that. Sorry, I'm gonna get
That's
emotional.
fine.
All right, we can transition to something a little more fun. And I appreciate that answer. So at the end of every one of our interviews, one thing we've been doing is asking 10 very open-ended questions. We took inspiration from a show called Inside the Actor Studio, where they asked 10 questions from a Proust questionnaire that was developed a while ago. So yeah, if you're ready, we'd love to go through these 10.
Sure.
Okay, so the first question is, what sound or noise do you love?
Do I love? I have to say, the sound of the wind hitting the leaves of the trees in the distance. I don't know why that sound really relaxes me so much. I feel like that's probably the best noise that I can think of right now, because every time I hear that noise, I think it's just because I relate to it the most, because when I was a kid, we were living in a house that had like so much trees behind in our backyard, and I think that tree always, every time there was like a lot of wind, that sound really relates me to my childhood when I was living in that house. But yeah, that's probably
That's a lovely sound.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what sound or noise do you hate?
I think the sound of the metal cutlery just rubbing to each other, that sound just makes me cringe. Even when I was a kid, I think it was when I was a kid, don't know why, like a knife and a fork, I just run. I just run away, because it really makes me feel like very sick.
What is your idea of happiness?
Oh man, sharing what you have, sharing your what you love to do with people, making a community in base of that love that you all share for that particular thing. I think that's sharing your work with a community that equally loves that that same thing. I think that's probably the best sense of happiness that I can think of. Yeah.
Who is your favorite hero in fiction?
Fiction. Oh my God. This is a hard one.
A lot of good choices.
This is going to probably I'm gonna go with Chihiro, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because actually when she started her journey in Spirited Away, he was scared of everything. And I think that depicts so well the the fear of the unknown, of humanity, because we are all afraid of unknown, and we don't know how, when it's right in front of you, you really don't know what to do. Sometimes you don't know how to react, and you just start to act by instinct. And I think it was fantastic how he just she didn't have her parents, and she had to do it all alone, and facing those fears alone and being able to surpass all those fears by herself. I think it was such an endearing way to do it. I think that's why probably like she's my favorite fiction, my favorite fiction hero.
That's delightful.
Yeah.
We love Spirited Away.
Yeah.
We're going to throw a curveball at you, though, because the next question was, who is your favorite heroine in fiction?
Oh,
not-
okay. Okay. Can I say pass because I'm still thinking on something?
Yeah.
You could totally say that.
We'll come back to it at the end. What talent would you most like to have?
Oh, talent. Oh. I think the talent I would love to have is probably sculpting in I don't know if it's valid, sculpting in general, like 2D and 3D, because I don't know how the character artists and all the 3D modelers are like, there's like so good in their job. Like it's probably one of the things that I would really love to have a talent on.
What is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession. Wow, that is a big one. I'm trying to think if I have it right here. So I think it was so it's a bracelet that my dad gave me. The story about that bracelet is that I think they gave it to my father in his birthday, but he gave it to me because he really wanted to have it, because just because I think, I don't know, he just shared it with me, and I think that really makes like a good memory of how he was for me, and what he represented in how is his person. So yeah, that's probably the most. It's a small position, but it's like it's something very important for me.
Yeah, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite names?
Names. Wow. I didn't expect these questions, by the way. They're very good.
These are surprise questions.
I think this is going to be very. I guess this is like a very biased in the sense because I named one of my characters this name, but his name is Elwin.
We love Elwin, and
Uh-huh.
you know, and for everybody like watching, Elwin is a huge part of you know, your portfolio. Most of your fans, we know, do fan art of Elwin, and so we know what an important part of your, you know, portfolio he is.
Yeah.
What is your motto?
My motto. My motto is, so this one is I have probably stick to this one. I think the biggest mistake that a person can make is to be afraid of making one. Because as I said with Chihiro, we are really afraid of the known, but we have to understand that we will make mistakes, because there's like some situations that we will encounter that we are really not going to expect.
Last question. What is one question that we didn't ask you that you wish we would have?
You guys really ask like very good questions. It's like really so I thought like you were going to ask me about as well, like where am I from, and something related to that, and I actually forgot to tell you guys as well. So I am from Mexico, and I am from a little town, and that little town, the name is Coatzacoalcos. So the particular name about my city, it's because there is a legend that says that that's the last place that the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl was seen.
Oh, cool.
So that's also one of the stories that my father and my mom tell me about the city, and that's actually one of the reasons I like dragons and myths and legends as well. So that's probably the I forgot to mention it. I was actually going to mention it on about why do I like about dragons, but I decided to save it for the last, just in case. But yeah, that's probably one of the things that I totally forgot to mention this, and it's just a cute little detail.
That's perfect.
That's
and
perfect.
it's the perfect answer to that question.
Well, thank you so much, Luis, for sitting down and talking to us today. It has been such a pleasure to get to know you more, and we are super, super excited, like we said, to see what you have in store for Lorcana, and hopefully we get to see more of your art in the game. We don't know yet, but you know, hopefully Ravensburger and Disney will release more of your work in the next few months, and then we'll really get to see next fall. So we hope you'll join us again after the game is released, and maybe we can talk more about your actual work for the game.
Of course, that'll be a pleasure. Yeah, I'm very excited as well. Like I said before, there's like so many fantastic artists involved in this project, and I just can't wait to guys to see it. Like, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, well, and I hope everybody who's watching now really, really understands why you were the absolute perfect choice for Maleficent. It was one of the first cards that we saw, and it was so fantastic. But now, you know, having seen, for those watching, having seen the rest of your portfolio, you really were the perfect choice. So we can't wait to see what else is in store. So yeah. Thank you so much, Luis.
Thank you again for having me. And it was such a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.